welcome to Insert AI Generated Title, a podcast about artificial intelligence and how it impacts our lives, produced by the California Center for Ethics and Policy, or CCEP, at Cal Poly Pomona. My name is Tiffany Ju. I'm an assistant professor of global ethics and technology at Old Dominion University, a faculty fellow with CCEP, and your host. In the spring of 2025, our student fellows explored the ethical and policy issues arising from the rapid development of AI, including privacy, fairness, and bias, as well as larger questions of truth and our very perception of reality. How can we use and design AI in responsible ways? When, if ever, should we trust it? In this season's episodes, students will draw from our seminar discussions and their own lived experiences to explore how AI is affecting education, creativity, scientific inquiry, and human relationships. In today's episode, The AI Renaissance, CCEP student fellow Ilke Suzer confronts one of the most urgent ethical questions of our time. What happens when AI becomes the author of truth? To do so, she interviews a leading voice in AI ethics, Merve Isler, founder of Marvelous, an AI-powered platform reshaping the creator economy. In their conversation, they explore the cognitive and cultural implications of synthetic storytelling, deepfakes, and algorithmic authorship.
Welcome to the AI Renaissance. I'm your host, Ilke Suzer, and today you're listening to a journey through one of the most transformative periods in human history, the rise of artificial intelligence. There's a good chance that by the time you hear this, the world of AI will have already moved forward, and that much of the information that I present to you will have already been considered outdated. Faster algorithms, smarter machines, and deeper ethical questions may have emerged, surpassing even the boundaries that we imagine today in May 2025. But that's exactly why we're here. This podcast is a space to pause, reflect, and explore what it means to be human in an age where intelligence is no longer uniquely our own. From storytellers to artists, from philosophers to engineers, from the sacred to the synthetic, we'll dive deep into the forces reshaping our culture, our values, and perhaps even our sense of truth itself. So wherever you are, I invite you to join me as we navigate the unfolding future. Welcome to the AI Renaissance. As we dive into the next technological revolution, we realize the profound progress of our human race. The smarter we become, the more control we gain. The tools we build become increasingly more useful and innovative. There's a comforting idea that technology is just an extension of human will, that we code the rules, we set the boundaries, and we decide what's true. But what happens when artificial intelligence becomes the first system in history that can outpredict human perception? When it doesn't just process data, but shapes the emotional, cultural, and political frameworks through which we interpret that data. In the past, the line between truth and fiction was guarded by our senses. We saw with our eyes, we heard with our ears, we trusted because we recognized. This was true even when we recognized lies. After all, history is littered with betrayal and other acts of deceit. It's in our very nature to protect our self-interest. But now, what does it mean to see when AI can generate images that are so real, your brain can't tell the difference? What does it mean to believe when the next sacred text could be composed by a language model that understands religious archetypes better than any pastor or any prophet? And what happens when AI becomes the historian, the philosopher, the journalist, and the myth maker? Will we live in a future where the victors no longer write history, because history will be written by the highest bidder to a neural network? Will Eastern narratives finally emerge? Not through diplomacy or culture, but because an AI trained on a truly global dataset decides that the Western canon is no longer the most efficient story to tell. This isn't about machines getting smarter, although that could be the case. It's about what happens to human trust, memory, and identity when we no longer control the interface of truth. Can humans survive the age of synthetic reality, not physically, but cognitively? And perhaps more hauntingly, when AI becomes the storyteller of our species, will we recognize ourselves in the tale? In just a few moments, I'll speak with someone who's been studying these questions, someone who's helping shape the future of AI ethics and information architecture. But before we dive in, Let's pause for a moment and think about what it means to know something. We assume knowledge is built through observation, reflection, consensus, that truth is a product of experience and shared memory. But AI doesn't just observe the world like the way we do. It doesn't feel, it doesn't forget, it doesn't dream. And yet somehow it's learning to create. It writes poems, it mimics human voices, it makes art, crafts arguments, spins narratives that resonate deeply with our deeper instincts. But what it lacks, what it cannot stimulate, is lived reality, sentience, emotion, morality, context. So what does it mean when a being that has never suffered writes a tragedy? When something that has never loved writes a love letter? There's a concept in AI development called the alignment problem, the idea that we must ensure AI's goals align with human values. But what happens when we no longer agree on what human values are? In a world where social media already distorts truth and warps reality, AI introduces a new threat: synthetic intimacy, the illusion of understanding without the cost of empathy, the comfort of personalization without the burden of connection. It's not just that AI might deceive us, it's that we might prefer its deception. Consider this: if an AI can write a speech that moves us to tears, or compose music that echoes our pain, or even stimulates compassion better than most humans, will we even care if it's real? Yuval Harari warned us, as AI takes over language, it doesn't just write stories, it shapes reality. So in other words, whoever controls the narrative controls the world. Historically, that power has not been distributed evenly. Let's be honest, Western institutions have dominated the narratives of the last few centuries, if not the past 2 millennia. The West taught us to measure success, to define intelligence, to write history from the perspective of the victor. Even AI systems today are trained on largely Western datasets. That bias is not accident, it's design. But we finally have the potential where AI could change that. It could unearth forgotten stories, tell history from the colonized and not the colonizer. It could amplify indigenous languages, elevate marginalized voices, and democratize the lens through which we see the world. That's the paradox we face. AI could liberate knowledge or gatekeep it. It could bridge civilizations or divide them irreparably. It could document history or overwrite it. We're not just training AI to predict the future. We're training it to create the future, to curate what is remembered and what is erased, to define what it means to be human without being human itself. And here's the terrifying truth. In the end, AI will not destroy us with violence. It will seduce us with convenience. All right, today we're joined by Merve Isler. Hi, welcome. Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, Ilke. Thanks a lot for inviting me. And my name is Merve. I'm founder of Marvelous. So it's an AI company, basically. We connect companies with their ideal customers through in-person experiences. So if you have a new product and you want to launch anywhere in the world, you can just go and click, like how you're booking in Airbnb, for events. So you can make your brand activations anywhere in the world. You don't have to search for the venues, anything.
All right, so let's talk about AI. The topic of this podcast is in relation to how much we can trust the information that artificial intelligence provides us. So can we really trust the credibility and the truth of the content that it's giving us? Do you believe that we'll reach a point where people trust AI more than each other? And if this is the case, what do we lose when human intuition, memory, and messiness are no longer trusted resources?
Yeah, it's a good question. Basically, like, if you ask me, like, people ever trust AI more than each other, or like if we are losing the intuition, memory, like these are. So I think we are already halfway there. And for example, GPS over local directions, spell check over personal spelling. GPT for a first draft. Like these are kind of so common, right? So basically we kind of trust them more than other people and sometimes ourselves. But full trust flips when a generation grows up native to synthetic guidance, basically. So it's not like a full trust yet because maybe your generation kind of raised with AI, but not us. So what we lose is like here is probably the friction. For example, there are some errors, they're doing it, and also like productive disagreements. Like these are all like kind of make it a little bit like hard to trust it. And also, some of the like still like there are some of the LLMs, large language models are hallucinating a lot and not like most of them actually. So still we cannot say like they are the best, so we can just trust them fully. We don't feel it like that and we didn't grow it with that one. I live in San Francisco, so everywhere is like AI company here. Basically all the companies are also switching to become an AI company. So that's why I think it's kind of becoming more trustworthy than before because when we have GPT-3, it was great. We were getting the answers, but it wasn't super accurate. It's getting much more accurate, but it's still not there. I think instead of feeling that fear of like, oh, AI is going to take over the world, I think the problem is going to be the not understanding how it's going to take over the things from our lives. So, I mean, overall, I can say like for the answer, like because your question was like, will people ever trust AI more than each other? Probably for next generations, yes. But for us, no.
What about in terms of cultural narratives? So at the moment, AI is very modern and culture is supposed to be very historic. It's traditional. It's passed down from human to human. But we are now reaching a point where AI will be writing that culture for us. Before humans wrote everything, humans documented all of our history. So what happens when AI becomes that storyteller, that cultural pillar? Do you think that it will be reflective of all cultures? Do you think it will be Western leaning by the people that created AI? So like American companies, for instance?
Yeah. So basically, like the algorithms curate our feeds in real time. So which is like basically shaping what we talk about, we feel about. But actually, like humans are still supplying the data for those algorithms, right? So everything like our interactions in tech, like our clicks, sometimes fears, hopes, what we think, like those are the inputs that we are giving. So this is not AI generated, right? But the narrative engine is non-human. So in that sense, we slowly become the raw material while the models become the author, basically. So there is a risk, which is a culture that's always reactive, never reflective. But there are also like some opportunities here, which is like a truly like global narrative that can finally surface voices long ignored. So basically, like it can just create its own narrative from the inputs that we are giving, and it can create a long-term culture, long-term difference. So the answer is definitely like it's gonna shape, but it's not creating its own culture because it's non-human. It doesn't have its own creativity. So it makes us much more creative, but it's not creating its own culture or something because it's non-human. That's what I think.
Good. Do you think the impetus should be on the AI creators to ensure that AI generates authentic, genuine content? Or should the responsibility be on the consumer side? So the people consuming the AI content to be responsible users and picking apart what's real, what's not real, what's fake, like deepfakes versus authentic material?
Hmm. So I think it's like both sides. Like we are all responsible because I think we are in the middle of AI renaissance right now, and like responsibility is not on the, just the creator side, but also like, the consumer side. Like you can just think it like, for example, there are some, media channels, like they're not telling the truth, but people are following those channels and they believe that. So basically, for this context, when you think about, of course, that media channels are maybe bought by somebody, just one group of people, what they wanna expose to the other people. So, but on the other side, like other people know it, or maybe they don't know. Then it's another problem, basically. But on like both sides has their own responsibilities, right? Like for the consumer side, they need to understand if it's the right AI product to listen to those advices or recommendations or anything. And on the other side, of course, like it's like AI ethics and all these things are completely different. So that's why I think it's a responsibility, like whose responsibility is the making the trusted information is, I think it depends on the both sides. So we cannot say the consumers' fault that they're following those news, or we cannot say they're creating false news and stuff. So they both are responsible in that. Yeah.
That's a pretty fair assessment. What got you interested in AI as a career? Do you think you would have seen yourself pursuing AI related work 10 years ago or even 5 years ago?
Yeah. I think how I started is like, first of all, I built my first AI app 11 years ago, but actually 14 years ago, I built my first robot. So it was line following robot, and it had a lot of like sensors in it. So basically ultrasonic sensor, light sensor, sound, like we had all these things. We coded with like C++, and as it's part of like some of the competitions. So that's why I'm also so into robotics, like all the automations, like these things. So it was the first time I kind of got that, like those algorithms are actually not just for, just writing it and just, running the code program or something like that. Instead, like these are all shaping our life. Like right now, as I told you, like I live in San Francisco and autonomous cars are everywhere. So basically, when I want to go to work or just a meeting or something, I'm just using these Waymos. And those Waymos are reminding me like 14 years ago when I was building those like small robots. Kind of it looks like a car. And then afterwards I studied CS, computer science. And then that time I took AI classes. So the first AI project of mine was, you're probably like curious about it. What was the first app that you built in AI? Was the basically like the crossword puzzle on New York Times. So that puzzle is every day changing. And that time, there wasn't any chat GPT or something. So that's why you have to, search for it. You need to find for it. So that's why I like built AI application with Python, and then just, and then it was just solving it every day. And so it was the first step. And afterwards, like basically I started working at Google, and then I was building AI communities, developer communities for machine learning developers, engineers, AI engineers. And then I built AI communities for United Nations. So we were connecting people in Africa with Silicon Valley AI companies like Cohere, like billion-dollar companies, to help those countries, help those talents in the African countries, basically like fasten their digital transformation in their countries. So we were working with those countries. And then so yeah, and then recently also we started a new AI event series, new AI ecosystem. Now we are trying to catch the trends from the people who are building those trends. So that's why like every month we have different AI events. So yeah, I'm basically verticalized, like, because AI is not a one size fits for all. So yeah, we are doing it. And then we are gathering with people who are also passionate to learn about the latest trends. So it goes like that. So it's not something new. I think I've been loving this the last 15 years, maybe. So
Yeah, that's amazing. Where do you see AI going in the future, like in terms of the biggest development? Obviously, machine learning models, you talked about large language models, even autonomous cars. But in your perspective, what's the biggest technological advancement we'll see with AI in the next 20 to 30 years?
yeah, I think humanoid robots are gonna be so crazy. That part is gonna be like really, I think there is a great potential there. And on the other side, definitely health, biotech, like these industries are gonna change a lot. Like it's already changed a lot, but they didn't integrate it fully. When they fully integrate all the AI developments, it's gonna be crazy. So I'm excited for those. And other than this, like, I think like it's already like the arts, design, like creative parts, like music, those things are already changed. People are more creative than ever, and it's gonna be more than this. So basically, right now, I mean, I don't have a good skill of like drawing things or designing things, but I'm really good at imagining things. And I like creating a vision or just, I'm good with like something should be like that. My imagination is like unlimited. And that's why like I create a lot of like crazy images with the latest model of OpenAI. And also we integrate it into our apps. Not just OpenAI, Meta also had like a lot of things, and then Anthropic added new LLMs. So basically, like I think these industries are gonna be game changer. That's why the hot topics are gonna be around like the topics that we talk a lot in San Francisco, like longevity, for example. I think it's gonna continue to be a hot topic, and then robotics, automations, and yeah, as I told you, like art and creativity. That part is like it's gonna be wild. Like I'm so excited about creative industries. Yeah.
Are you worried about the limits that humans will face in terms of human output when AI output will become so popular? For instance, if AI art is so much easier to produce than human art, or AI novels compared to human authors.
Okay. To be honest, I think it's already like most of the people are so boring. So I think AI is not changing what they're doing. They're already so boring. So I think it's like a natural selection. It's gonna be like so many people who are already not good are not gonna be with us probably in terms of the skill set, creativity, a lot of aspects. Yeah, stronger ones who are like, who really wants to stay are gonna stay. So basically AI makes people much more powerful, like superhumans, but AI is not going to help people who doesn't want to collaborate, basically. So that's why I think in the future there are going to be people like we're going to see like people who are successful are going to be the people who are eager to uh, build things, do things, collaborate with like AI apps, tools, other people, and also human communication is going to be much more important than ever, and in-person gatherings, authentic connections are going to be really important. For example, right now you can create a lot of like visuals, videos, even like my sound. Maybe you made it with 11 Labs. Maybe it's not just me, huh? Maybe you just recorded with that one, right? So basically everything is going to be like pretentable, like everything is going to be, you can just create it with something. But it's not gonna be available to have authentic connections, like the feelings, empathy, like real human things, human traits. So yeah, basically, we have to adapt, but at the same time, we shouldn't forget our own reality, like being a real human. So yeah.
Do you think when we start valuing human to human connections and human to AI connections, that there will be a preference between the two? So, where we start to prefer human to AI connection more than human to human connection. And I don't just mean in a sense of like empathy or relationships, but maybe it'll be way more efficient and cost effective to rely on AI over another human being, for instance. Like, who needs to pay for a therapist when ChatGPT can help me? Or who needs a friend when I can just have an AI friend, for instance?
Yeah, it's a good question. So what I can say for this is like, okay, frankly, when I'm doing hiring, I'm checking people if they are good at talking with machines too. I mean, if somebody is good at prompting, I prefer that person more than the other person who doesn't have an idea about how to prompt things. Because, and it's like in the end, like it's all about the communication skills, right? So basically, if you can communicate with a human effectively, if you can express yourself, what you feel, what you want effectively, so you can just get work done, right? So basically, it's kind of similar stuff. Like basically, like if you're good at expressing things, if you are good at telling things in a good way, then it's going to change a lot of things. So basically, I think it's really important to understand the language of machines, but also it's important to understand yourself and also expressing yourself. So that's why I think one of the most important skills that like maybe students need to develop on themselves is like critical thinking, expression design, like how to express things, words, like thoughts, and also definitely like reading things maybe like faster than before, because you also need to understand, and also understanding, making yourself much more, if you can develop those skills, then you can build anything in the world basically, because right now you don't need a lot of frameworks to build things. You just need to understand what you want, what you are good at, and what you want to do, basically. So this is how you can build things right now. And at the same time, if you are good at expressing things, if you are good at setting the vision, then you can also build things and then build people who are also interested in that one, which is like can build your own community. Yeah.
This has been so fantastic. Thank you so much. So I want to leave you with this. When the next generation opens a history book, digital or otherwise, how will they know who wrote it? How will they separate memory from manufacture? If artificial intelligence becomes our oracle, our artist, our archivist, then we must ask, will the future still be human?
If you care about these issues and like what you hear, please share our podcast with your friends, family, and colleagues. Thanks for listening.